We're back!
2 months, holy smokes.
Yeah, we apologize. It has been a whirlwind for us. And everywhere we've gone, we've actually brought the equipment with intentions of podcasting when we can.
Yeah.
And we haven't, so.
All right. Let's get going into episode
9?
Oh, we did a good job the first 3 months of the year.
Yeah.
We just slacked off.
So.
The ginger was getting me. I picked up 2 flats of St. Arnold ginger beer, my absolute favorite drink.
Yeah, you came home with cases.
Good stuff. If you know me, I don't really drink too much, but I'll have at least one of these a day.
At least. And those have so much sugar. I can't believe you drink that, but whatever.
You can't believe it?
I mean, I guess I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about the Waterloo.
All right,
Okay.
We're live, looking good, and we got a full show. We're going to try to keep it somewhat short and sweet and catch up where we've been and what we've been doing.
We're going to do a quick update, a couple news items, and then a marriage matters.
Yeah,
and we're just
most people we talk to have been requesting the marriage matters the most.
Yeah, they want the nitty-gritty,
relationship.
dirty details of our relationship. Maybe not dirty, but
It's not dirty.
intimate.
It's all good.
Yeah, intimate details.
All right. Okay, so where are we at?
So we left off, it was March 31st, so it was the day after my birthday. And we were going into Brazos weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
And we had all of the kids that weekend. And Brazos, I think for the first time since I've been involved with trot, we had a storm that shut down the race for about, 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, the history of Brazos Bend, it's kind of, it kind of gained a little bit of like reputation for being on the chopping block with the park because we had just had one December year where it was wet leading up to it, and they were not
that was
confident with
just a year and a half ago.
Yeah, but then we were able to put on a couple more. We put on 2 50s now and 100, and even the 100 had actually quite a bit of rain on the day of the race or that evening. Mm-hmm. Of course, when most people had already finished, and then like the park gained all this confidence back, like, hey, you guys aren't wrecking the trails. You're doing a good job of cleaning up. The trails can handle.
He came back and said, I feel more comfortable with the rain now.
Yeah.
Which was really big.
As long as we don't have like rain for like 2 weeks leading up to an event.
And the weather was really nice for Brazos for a while. It was one storm that came out of the blue.
Yeah, actually, I have an image of that one that I took. We actually did go into shelter in place. So
yeah, we did.
I think this was a huge one for me just from a race, like you call it race directing, but what really flipped me, and this was talking to a few other race directors, was like, I am like an emergency management person, and everything is actually all about that. Whether it's like setting up the course or preparing the course and the supplies and then dealing with race day operations. It's like, and it really goes to my strong suit of like being with search and rescue and everything, but like watching this weather, which on the aviation side is like, I understand a lot more of it at every time now, and like looking at fronts, but this thing was insane what came through, and I can see it right here.
It was starting, that tip is where we were.
Yeah, so we were down at that blue spot at Brazos Bend State Park, and we just watched these radar just like come towards us, but we fortunately kind of cut through it. We did pause or like hold people at aid stations and shelters for 30 minutes, just as the lightning, and we have a policy on like how close it can be. But this storm stretched all the way northeast to basically New York, Kentucky.
It was a devastating storm for the U.S.
The amount of lightning strikes and high winds, tornadoes, and everything that went with that. We got so lucky. Like literally, that's us on the Gulf. So, dodged a bullet there, but was ready for it. Like we had emergency response notifications set up, and were active, and everyone was well briefed. So other than that, it was really smooth, except for like every race, there's like a theme of like what Jay and I deal with on the race op side. And this year was batteries, and
oh my gosh,
it was never ending.
Yeah.
The large truck, which is super critical to race day ops because it's the way we deliver bulk water and supplies when needed, and just generally getting around with all of our gear. And then the ATV also, like, wasn't even a battery issue. It was another issue. So the next day I had 2 dead batteries, and I ended up going to Walmart and picking up this like booster thing that would help all of our races going forward. And I'm in Walmart getting it, and there's Maya in the fetal position. All of a sudden, like, we walked in fine, and then she deteriorated rapidly and ended up puking in the Walmart. And so she wasn't good. So quick swap with her. She could go lay down, and I had to get to the park. And then Holly joined me. So she's, what, 9, 8 now?
Holly's 10.
10. Oh my God, yeah.
Sorry, Holly.
One more up. Well, it was awesome to spend some daddy-daughter time with her. She hiked the trails with me. We picked up part of the course, and we had some help there. And then she was working on this ATV with me, and it was really cool. There's gators on this course.
The gators were insane this year.
Not on race day. Not many. I mean, your
they
friends
were all
saw
in
them.
the water, though.
Yeah, but like the next day they were out like crazy. So it's fun having the kids join me on this kind of stuff, because like that's Holly driving an ATV that we were essentially towing, and so you have to teach her like safety things of like brakes and like following me, and I ended up snapping the rope like close to a highway, and like it's just getting the whole experience of race directing and being part of it.
And she loves that. She's very adventurous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so they're all learning so much, and it's fun for them to join.
My grandmother was in town too, I realized.
She got to see her first trot race.
All into it. It was good.
Other than, Maya getting sick and batteries dying left and right and jumping. And
oh, and I was also mad at you because I took your car, which was the plan.
Gosh.
It was the plan.
Yeah.
It was your idea. And I'm pulling into the driveway, and he's like, where's my truck? An hour away. Well, what are you talking about? I took your car.
Yeah, I never unloaded my gear.
So I had to drive all the way
left.
back.
Yeah, and there was a critical key and a checkbook probably.
It was the checkbook that was the issue.
Yeah.
And it was starting to get cold.
Yeah, I just didn't unload. I was like, okay, see you later, guys. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to go to my car for my jacket and a checkbook and all this stuff.
Anyway.
Race director brain.
Yeah. Right after that, you went back to Guadalupe.
Yeah, so we didn't really cover, I felt like we touched on it, then we didn't cover too much, but the deployments continue with Texas Search and Rescue for the Guadalupe National Park, Mountains National Park. And so it's really great because I get to stay at altitude, I get to be in the mountains, and then we're basically doing SAR like 8 to 10 hours a day, preventative stuff. But this one I actually piggybacked a woman about half a mile down the mountain with a broken ankle. And so that was kind of the main call out. There's a lot of shortage of water. I hauled a lot of water, so it was really good training. I was hauling like milk jugs. I looked like David Posh with all the milk jugs the milk jugs in his backpack.
We've been YouTubing recently.
Yeah, it's a good YouTube if you're looking for something. And then of course running. So like either before or after, usually after shift or on the off day, or just to cover a lot of trails really quickly, you kind of break off. And I was able to get some really good runs in, and ended up having enough time for a full day adventure of doing the circumnavigation of all of Texas's 4 highest peaks, and then the 6th highest peak, because we did the 5th highest together
back in March.
Yeah, on our spring break. And so there's kind of the trailhead and getting up high.
So you did the FKT.
Yeah, and I ended up getting the FKT. I was like just over 5 hours, 5:05, which I think the record, it's just been too long, I can't remember. I knew what it was, but it was like 6:40, I think, 6:30.
It was a good amount of time off.
Yeah, but I was actually struggling. Like I was cramping in the hamstrings.
You came in, more than 30 minutes slower than your original plan.
Yeah, my guesstimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's getting ahead. But yeah, so awesome to be up in the mountains, and got a my first time on the boards for FK.
Yeah, and that was good. I mean,
time.
part of that too was not only search and rescue, but it was to train for canyons, which we were leading into.
Yeah, it was all the part of the build up for canyons, which, I mean, we can jump to what that looked like. I mean, most people saw already and were asking, and yeah, that's me coming into Forest Hill, which is one of the biggest aid stations on the Western States course.
And I was waiting for you there.
Yeah, so I had a lot of experience starting there, and I was looking forward to running from Forest Hill to finish off pretty much Western States course for the canyons. But gosh, how many miles? 16 miles earlier.
About 20K in.
Yeah, mile 12, I did that to my ankle, which pretty gnarly. We don't have to look at that anymore.
I was actually so concerned the week after. I was worried.
Oh, you had nightmares.
I was having nightmares, and I thought, I'm not emotionally prepared for this to be career ending for you. Yeah. And you're not either. So it was just, there was a lot of worry for sure because it was so bad.
I was uncertain of like how long this was going to take because ankles can be terrible.
I mean, worst case, this could have been
months.
I mean, my stepdad, shout out Dan, he rolled his ankle early in my mom and his relationship, and they've been together 20 years, and he is still having ankle surgeries, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, is this the curse of my family's spousal ankle roll? You know, what is this? But it worked out, and you're back.
Yeah, it took an easy week, but then, well, tried
2 weeks, really.
Because we went right into Wildflower and race directing that.
That's true, we did go
into Wildflower. So I had to be on my feet, which is a common theme of like...
having something go wrong or doing something medically
or sick or whatever, and then like, I need to rest, but...
Now you need to go hike for so much. A week later was Wildflower.
But everyone's like, make sure you're ice, and I was like, I didn't touch an ice bag. Make sure you take tons of ibuprofen. I took 3.
You did a few different times, but not much.
Mainly like around sleep.
And when you are taking ibuprofen, you have to no one understands you don't take medicine. You are so anti any type of drug. And
if the body's swelling like that ankle looked like, I assume my
body's
knows
supposed to do that. Yeah.
It's doing it for a reason. Why would you want to inhibit its natural response?
No, but then it can cut off
and that's where it got uncomfortably too much.
Right.
Where the blood
and when it got to that point, you were taking medicine.
Because you told me to.
Because I would take a bottle and put it on your desk in front of you and force you to take it.
But
the trip outside of that was really nice.
Yeah, I had a picture from Grass Valley, which is really cool. So we were in Auburn for the race, and but we found this little town for dinner, Grass Valley, which had a really just old like gold mining feel to it, but and kept a lot of that charm going. Enjoyed walking around Auburn. Saw a middle school track meet.
We did,
and that's where the Western States finishes on the Placer High School track.
And those kids were having so much fun.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, like a great trip, and I had my hard loop athlete Brooke. She did incredibly well in her first ultra.
She did,
top 20 in a very competitive race, and
I really enjoy Brooke. But
so we were on the plains together, and it was just a fun trip overall. And so the canyons, I always get that mixed up, Black Canyon Canyons, was snowing at the start, which was crazy.
Cold.
Like everyone's like, canyons, you better be in a sauna for the final 2 weeks of your training.
It was wet and cold.
Snowing. I mean, it was full on.
Well, where you started was snowing, and then the further you go down, it was raining.
Yeah.
And then I was in the rain, and it was freezing. And then I saw you, and
the first and last, basically.
You were emotional. Yeah,
once I knew it was over, and then there was a few other athletes that called it right there too, and like complete
right in front of you.
Yeah,
because I go back and I say, oh, he's done, and they're
like, oh, another ankle.
And I said, yeah, he has an issue with his ankle, and he goes, that guy, and I'm like, no, another ankle. 2 in a row.
Yeah, and it was completely not what I expected. So all the pre-race previews of the course were like, Cali Coaster trails, dude. Yeah, like we're coming out to California and saw the best coast. And it was gnarly. Like the trail was like, the single track was rutted out, so you couldn't actually run down the middle. You had to like side hop constantly. Lots of huge pine cones. And then the descent I hurt myself on was just absolute river rock, chossy, like goat trail style down to a bridge. And that was two-way traffic. So right before I like really hurt my ankle and like ankle bone touched the ground, and like that mind-numbing shooting pain through my skull, that's when the elites started coming, like the lead pack started coming back up. But part of that pack was Hans Troyer, and from
Ultra,
got a
golden ticket.
Second place behind Poopy, and got his golden ticket, and then asked me to pace him at Western States. So myself and Kyle Pietari, another ultra athlete, will be doing that, and we were planning on going.
With him recently?
Kyle
somewhere?
Was there last year. We did the same thing for pacing last year.
Got it.
We're kind of like the pace crew for States. Jeff Browning is in, so another ultra athlete. Otherwise, he would probably pick up the pacing too. So
awesome. And we'll have all the kids, all 4 girls.
Yeah, we were already planning on being there. We're going up to Reno, going up to Tahoe.
It'll be a good trip.
Check out Broken Arrow. Kind of getting ahead of ourselves on summer schedule, but TrailCon, double day, industry conference. Yeah.
It'll be good. Awesome. Yeah, we had Wildflower, no crazy events there.
Yeah, it was fun. Cool Airbnb.
And then right after Wildflower, I went to Japan for work.
Yeah, so you've had your own little adventures too.
Yeah, it was a really fast trip. I spent 3 days on a plane and 4 days in Japan.
Yeah.
So
and just struggled with jet lag there and since.
The past 2 weeks, today I feel normal. I'm still fatigued a bit with my body, but I'm sleeping again. It was a rough go.
Yeah.
I had 2 of the best meals of my life in Japan, so that was really great.
Of course, they were like little tiny plates.
That was one of them. The second one was a bowl of ramen, and it sounds weird saying that a bowl of ramen is one of my top 10 all-time meals, but you don't understand. Not only was the ramen amazing, the experience was amazing.
I mean, like, just like going to what is it called? I want to say Yokisaba house, like the guy flipping the egg and lighting stuff on fire in front of you.
No, I mean, so we did do that. That was one of the other meals.
What do you call that? The grill. We did it with the kids.
What do they call it here? So there we call it teppanyaki. They call it teppanyaki, but it was high-end teppanyaki with full-on, A5, like Kobe beef.
Yeah.
Just delicious.
And you have to understand, she's like
food.
Michelin star, which I was like.
I'm a big foodie.
And I was like, is that like for the tires? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Is that a rating
Super
on tires?
into it. But the ramen
So we haven't done that together, really.
No, because all you do is complain about how small everything is, and you don't care about the flavor, and then you're just hungry after, where you would rather go to Outback's Roadhouse, Texas Roadhouse, and eat unlimited rolls and get a mediocre steak. So
making me hungry.
We haven't had dinner yet. So anyway, it was really great. So got back, been struggling with jet lag.
Which doesn't help because you signed up for a marathon. Well, I signed you up for a marathon.
You signed me up. Yeah, so I think last time we talked about my training, I was kind of going into maintenance mode.
Sorry, I'm turning down her volume. You like peak out so high.
It's because my laugh. I have a ridiculous laugh.
Yeah.
And especially after, the 2 miscarriages, I just was, I'm not going to psych myself up for training for anything. I'm going to go into maintenance mode and focus on holistic health, right? Including my diet and well-rounded, training.
Yeah.
And
before body changes and everything else and interruptions.
Right. And there's no point in working towards something when I don't know when my body will change, right? Yeah. But I've not run a marathon since pre-COVID.
And what did you run? You were like...
I mean, it was like 4:30.
Oh, so you haven't officially ever been on sub 4?
No.
What about in splits for something
For my
like a
ultra?
50s?
I mean, it's closer to 4, but not.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But right now, I've been running 20 milers to hit 350 if I kept going on just a training run, you know? So.
Yeah, because during the canyons, you went up to Folsom.
Yeah.
And had a great, like, you think you PR'd your 30K.
Yeah. And I've been PRing my 30K truly almost every other week.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing speed work at all. I'm just, you know, I'm just faster.
And then I started throwing you some workouts because we're like, okay, we got a race on the calendar, we got to get ready. But then just this jet lag and fatigue has been, I feel like something else has been going on other than jet lag because I was pretty knocked out fatigue-wise.
We both were really fatigued,
and so just been fighting something.
So I decided I want to do a marathon now before, you know, my body changes, whenever that happens. And I need it to be soon.
Yeah.
And that way I can get something, you know, on my books of, oh, I've actually run something better than all of that before, you know.
Yeah.
It
was hard to find a good quality marathon in this time frame of the year because everywhere's hot in the south. And then you didn't want like a significant downhill, but
I didn't want a downhill.
Unfortunately, that's all we could really find was like...
It was either overly hilly or downhill. Yeah. So I, you know...
Utah Valley is going to be...
Utah Valley is a loss of 2,000. So over 26 miles, some of those Revel series, for example, are way more extreme.
Oh, it's ridiculous, yeah.
So 2,000 is not bad. And I've been running hillier long runs.
Yeah.
So as far as the gain, it's like 300 feet.
Yeah.
So
I was talking to someone recently, I had coffee with an athlete, and it's just like, they're running like legitimate, running on record eligible courses, is how I should say it, and getting their BQs or getting close. But it's just like when you put it in the rankings, those like huge downhill marathons are like taking so many spots now for Boston.
Yeah.
That it's just like, I feel like they need to... Boston's so tight, it's so huge, like in all these other ones now that you have to qualify for.
Boston should buckle down on which races are qualifiers.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, maybe they keep Utah Valley, but they, you know, take away some of those over 3,000, you know, because those are really the big ones that do it.
Yeah, I was even surprised, like for the Olympic trials qualifying, they allowed CIM. Which is it's not record eligible. And Boston's not record eligible
because it's point to point.
So yeah, it's a tough call for sure.
Yeah.
But I have mixed feelings on it because I mean, you want people to go and enjoy like incredible races, which Revel races look incredible, like Big Bear and Vegas.
Through the mountains, on the good road.
And it's fun to run fast.
Yeah.
So I would love to give a good...
But I didn't want to run a downhill, and I still am struggling with running Utah in my head because I wanted a true test of my fitness.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Whereas like I'm going to the Marathon Project in December, and that's like 5K loops, or not even. Like it's short course loops, completely record eligible. It's like being on a track, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I think... my time will be a bit faster than what I think I can do just because of the downhill will do me some favors, and I think the weather will do me some favors.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it'll be nice to have a marathon since I haven't run a marathon in forever. I just went straight to ultras.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right. On the music front.
Yeah, I already kind of had a little glimpse of it pop up, but we went to a concert. We went to Martin Sexton. Actually, I think you can hear it. Here we go. So Martin Sexton is someone I've been, actually, first time I saw him was in Reno with my coach when I was helping out with an altitude camp for high school cross country kids, and he's just incredible. And this tour in particular, he was doing the Abbey Road album.
By the Beatles.
Yeah, the Beatles. So he did like his rendition of all the songs, and it was cool because he like really studied like not just the songs, but like the behind the scenes background of why they did it or who played and all these little tidbits in between. So he's just an incredible, it's like one of the best live performances you can see.
It's truly amazing. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's not really something I would listen to personally just in my car, but an opportunity to see it live is,
It's very different.
I mean, you cannot miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can go see Martin Sexton.
We were the youngest people there, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. He's a really great guy, though. Yeah, he loves his barbecue. He travels around a lot. He's throughout North America, so
I mean,
pretty
we
easy
saw
to
him
catch
last
him.
year too.
I think that's probably, gosh, I think I've seen him probably 5 times, if not more now.
Yeah.
And it's always like the most incredible live show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And flying.
Flying.
So I've done nothing with flying.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I haven't even made progress on my ground school recently.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I got to buzz by let me turn that sound off. There's our house and the kiddos waving. Jeff picked me up in the Stearman before dinner, so it's a biplane, and I got to go flying. I always wear those little radio headset hats.
It's so dorky looking.
Here's him dropping me off. He's like, do you have to be anywhere? I was like, yeah, I have to be back for dinner. So he dropped me off. He's like, well, I'm going flying more. And so he took off. But they actually were all flying. I'll just switch all the photos here. But they were just flying yesterday, or today they went for an official. Yesterday, this is them practicing.
They were practicing
they did
formation.
a missing man formation is what they call it, in honor of, for Memorial Day. So happy Memorial Day. So yeah, we get to see them flying over all the 3 Stearmen that are at our airfield. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so I got to do that, and then you got all these cool photos. Let's see. I thought I had my paragliding one in here, but I was ground handling. Oh, I did go for a hang gliding flight. I forgot about that. That was like, I can't remember when I did that. I think it was before we left for canyons or something. I'm just trying to
I don't remember.
Trying to go towing as much as I can. So had the paraglider out the other day, ground handling here behind the house, and then had a good flight. Like it looked like a really good day with those puffy clouds, but I just couldn't catch into anything. So, but always good to practice because there's a week-long competition in July once we get back from Reno Tahoe that I want to try to fly really far. Definitely want to break 100 kilometers, if not go for 100 miles flying distance, which is kind of the goal of that week. So.
My latest outdoor thing has been birding.
Oh yeah.
Birding.
I
have become an old lady.
You've become your mom.
The older I get, the more I think, oh my gosh, my mother does this. Or, but that's fine. I think that's a normal progression. I have made fun of her and you for enjoying.
Being excited about birds.
Yeah, being excited about birds forever. And before that, I had started to become bird curious, one may say.
Like, what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
I haven't seen that
That's
one.
Interesting. Oh, it's sitting here having my coffee, listen to the birds. And then I got the app.
Multiple apps. Yeah, you can't just have one.
Multiple apps. And it's a thing now. And I have not graduated to the point where I am traveling with my binoculars, your binoculars, our binoculars. I have not gotten to the point where I have gone somewhere specifically to look at birds. But
we live in a good place for it, though.
We live in a good place for it.
We're back onto a reservoir.
Yeah. I really struggled
actions.
because when we were at the canyons the day before when I was doing my long run, there were so many birds I had never seen before.
Completely different.
But I was in such a flow that I didn't log them and I kept running. And Japan had some good ones, but the app wasn't able to recognize a lot of the birds there. So I only logged a couple.
The app is impressive. Like you can either do photo recognition, which I mean, a lot of that stuff's improved so much with the Google Lens and all the AI stuff. But then the audio recognition is really cool. Yeah. But it's kind of cheating in a way too, because like you can sit there and it'll just like listen and then all these birds are popping up.
Yes, but I do not log it until I see it with my eyes.
Yeah.
So I've heard certain birds around constantly, almost every day at our house, but I haven't gotten them.
On our long run Saturday night, so just this past weekend, I ran into, I don't know, what do you call them?
Caracara.
Well, like a flock of caracara.
I guess a flock.
Yeah.
A flock of birds.
So the caracara is a bird of prey, like kind of looks like an eagle, I guess, blended with like a cool chicken.
But it has an interesting head shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites for sure. And there was like a dozen of them. I'll have a video that I still need to download and process this video from the long run Saturday night. But yeah, seeing 12 of them together is like pretty rare. I guess they're like migrating or breeding or something, moving together. So yeah, we're getting into birding.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Y'all should try it.
So bird of the week, probably caracara.
I like the osprey that sits outside too.
And then yesterday we got the Mississippi kite,
Yeah.
which is,
That was a new one.
yeah.
Yeah. So another big thing going on, renovations.
Oh, the house is killing us right now.
So right before we left, our house was pristine.
Yeah. Well, we didn't Airbnb it out, but we let a family that's going to be moving to our neighborhood.
A fellow neighbor.
Yeah, neighbor.
They own a property
fresh-
here.
yeah.
They just don't have a house on their property yet. They stayed at our house for a week and a half.
Oh,
And
you did have Tokyo pictures on here. I didn't know you added it to the album.
yeah,
It was rainy.
that was Saturday. It was rainy, so we went to the temple.
Yeah.
I have food pictures on there too. The bowl of ramen. I feel like that has to be shown.
Oh yeah. Okay. Bowl of ramen.
That
I
is
gotcha.
an amazing bowl of ramen.
What'd you
Pork
drink?
belly. That was a beer, but I didn't really
Oh, yeah.
like it that much, so I had only a couple sips.
It does,
I mean, the beer and the bowl and
the egg
ramen.
throws me off, and
No, it was good.
it's cool.
One of the streets, we were doing Japanese whiskey one of the nights, and that was one of the
right.
streets.
All
Yeah.
these cool cars and lights, and so modern and clean and safe.
It was very clean, very safe. I mean, I felt safer there in the dark or by myself in an alleyway than I do on a crowded street in Houston.
Yeah.
It was truly very safe.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I went there when I went to Japan, to Tokyo, and stayed with a family on exchange from when I lived in Australia in 1997, 8, I think. Yeah, 98.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks. I got a really bad ear infection, which completely ruined the trip. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, I remember the food being amazing, even
Amazing.
eating plain
But I
noodles
got
and
back
stuff.
and I did not want to do
Sushi.
fish or sushi.
Yeah.
I was done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
Back to the home reno. So
we come home from all these trips, and the house was still immaculate from our guests, which was awesome.
and now it's a disaster.
But we knew this project was coming. We wanted to do the kitchen, but once the project manager that's helping us, another neighbor, was like, "You guys need AC before all of this."
Yeah, it was so
And
bad.
like helped us, make that decision of just like prioritizing aesthetics
Function.
and
Over.
versus like
Yeah.
So the house was built with no AC in mind, really. Just the fact that the air blows from below the floor in this old system up through the framing. And so,
And I just want to say that not only was the house built with no AC in mind, it was built with really nothing in mind
we
other
shouldn't say
than
no AC. It was built with Northwestern style, like of US. So like Pacific Northwest style of having AC, which a lot of homes probably
It's
didn't have
fine.
any AC.
But
in the
house,
Gulf-
the guy that built the house, he built the house and then said, "Oh, I need to fit all the other stuff in." Is what I
Yeah.
felt.
But he was also from that Northwest
Right.
area. So it's what worked there does not work here.
Correct.
So
So we're doing the AC,
Here we go.
but what that entails, and there's things going on with this project. So we're pulling the gas line because we're on
so-
propane, so we can get gas AC or heating. And it's cheaper to buy a new gas hot water heater and pull the gas line than it is to not have a gas hot water heater and pull the
so
gas
kitchen.
line. But what you have to do is essentially our attic is empty. The AC or the internal unit is under the stairs. So we're retiring that. And,
drilling
look
through
at
our
you drilling.
wall.
And moving the AC up the stairs and dropping
Oh, there we go.
ducts throughout the house. So that's
solid.
upstairs. And those ducts are being cut through holes in walls. That closet right there is being retired. It was a linen closet to build chases to move air around the house.
So yeah, there's no room in the walls, and so we basically are making new walls.
That's Charlotte's room, and we're losing that corner, that square footage in her room, in Holly Maya's room.
That goes to our bedroom. So it's like connecting the attic through the second floor to the lower floors. That's how we had to run air. The upstairs was easy. Like we just got new vents through the ceiling, right from the attic, no problem. But
to get
air downstairs and air from downstairs back up on the returns,
So
absolute
it's a
disaster. Dust everywhere. We lost that whole closet.
We are building a closet where the cabinets are behind that attic.
Through the sheetrock and everywhere. And it's still like this pretty much today. The AC is installed, but
the dust is better. So
lost a lot of closet on that one.
Yeah, lost a lot of closet in that room.
Oh yes, yeah. There's just wires, and it's basically like it looks like what our neighbor said. You're doing a new build on an old house.
Yeah.
So
this requires gas work, electric work, reframing. We're taking the opportunity to tear down a wall and make our laundry room bigger since we have all the people out there.
And on top of that,
and then showering.
The water
when was it
just
Saturday
cut off.
night?
Yeah.
I still have conditioner in my hair and the water goes out.
Yeah.
And there was enough trickle to get the conditioner out of my hair, but then, our well.
The controller, the wires were just fried. So long weekend trying to find service for that kind of thing. Fortunately, a guy just was like, I can't come do it, but here's the part.
Yeah,
and
so we
I
bought
was
the
able to
part and you did it.
rewire the control box. So always learning a lot off of YouTube. And now graduated in an undergrad in septic and well control and AC.
AC is a good one.
I've
been working on the bathroom renovation all weekend. I don't think we have a picture of that, but
not yet.
Yeah, it's been wild. So that is our update. That took forever.
Yeah, we are.
We won't wait
40 minutes in.
2 months to do so again.
Yeah, we got everybody caught up now.
Yeah.
Another kind of flying thing, I'd laid all the parts out for these like old aircraft I have from my dad. So trying to figure out, I have 2 hang gliders, 2 ultralights, and 1 rigid wing hang glider. Oh no, there's 2 of those as well. So there's basically like 6 kind of models, or 3 models of it, and there's 6 of all of it, and it's just
crazy.
like parts that kind of mix match. And so
I was over there in that top little entrance doing woodwork.
Yeah,
in the back corner.
That's the hangar, and we have all of our Trail Racing over Texas stuff over on that side, and it's how we are able to really live here.
Yeah.
Run the business out of that thing, but we got room to just work on the house, which is a huge part of it too.
Yeah. So that's our update. I guess one other update is, what's your Amazon purchase? And I see you put a couple of things in here. I had nothing because I really haven't purchased anything off.
It's all been like home buying stuff. So I had to work on the scooter tow system, which probably is done, but I just want to get the scooter going. I had to solder some new fuse wires in and fuses. So bought a soldering kit and was soldering. So more working on stuff. What else do I have on there?
Fuses and gas line.
Oh, and then the mice in the hangar chewed through a gas line on a generator and drained the gas into the truck.
Oh, we have a cat in the hangar too.
Since we have so many mice, we have a new cat that craps in there every night.
You hate
cats. But the mice are like a lot less now all of a sudden. And the cat, I think, actually moved on now that he's killed all the mice. So I think and the hangar looks amazing right now.
Hangar looks really good right now, for sure.
So anyways.
I made a purchase on Amazon last night, and I bought a holster.
Yeehaw.
And I bought what's it called? A valet thing, pole for a closet.
Oh.
So it sticks on the closet and you pull it out and you can hang your clothes on it to pick it out for the next day. so I can pick out my clothes for work and they're not getting all wrinkled. So, yeah, not basic. Anyway.
Boring.
So there's one newsworthy item that I think we were both interested in, and it was the doping games.
Oh, they've started to announce which athletes are going to go. So this is like, they're not calling it the doping games though.
Yeah, I don't know what they're calling it.
What does that link say? It's called the, it's like basically the enhanced
games.
And it's basically just like a free for all on like whatever you want to do, whatever, performance enhancing things you want to do. And I think it's going to be in LA, but we're about a year away now from this. And so it's starting to gather some attention, and they're starting to release what athletes are going to be there.
Well, yeah, because if you're going to enhance your training, you want to do that for multiple months, I would assume, to see where you can go with that. And then my other question was, are you allowed to wear illegal super shoes? Are you allowed,
Right, yeah, just like use anything and everything. I don't see why not. It's going to be a
high
arms
tech
race, and pharmaceutical.
IV bags everywhere.
It's just crazy though, because it's like, you start allowing this, and then people are going to push the limits on that openly, and you're going to die.
Yeah, but I mean, are the athletes doing it sponsored? Is that going to impact sponsorships?
It is, because
eligibility.
Brands and some brands like that don't have the morals and ethics around that are going to be like, well, it's drawing attention. We want our logo on it. So it's a good marketing opportunity. Yeah, and that then becomes valuable. It's like,
but then the athlete is making themselves ineligible for literally everything else.
Yeah, but there's a whole new game now.
Yeah.
So obviously I think it's a terrible idea, but you already have it happening. So it's like, do you want to just give them their space to do it anyway? Yeah. And then segregate out people that are just blatantly cheating. Yeah. But does that mean that no cheaters are going to be in the sport? No, because we're already seeing, people are always hiding that kind of stuff. Right. And there's cheating on so many different levels. It's not just about doping, but there was I wouldn't say that there was that one popular news thing lately from being at Black Canyon, and we haven't really researched it enough because I didn't want to touch on it too much, but it sounds like an athlete that actually is on the Aravaipa racing team, so the company that puts it on, just like we have a Trail Racing Over Texas team, one of their athletes, missed a portion of the course. So I'm guessing they didn't do the out and back. I haven't seen GPS, and I want to clarify that before I accuse them. Yeah. And it sounds like it wasn't blatant, trying to cheat. They just missed something. But then they were also receiving crewing outside of the crewed areas. So on the trail, they were getting a bottle from somebody, or somebody was running up the trail. Yeah. Which, I mean, it's in the rules, and the biggest controversy, other than the cheating that happened, even if it was on purpose or not, was that Aravaipa basically didn't follow what they put in their rule book, which is you're disqualified if you don't complete the course as we've told you to, or if you receive aid outside of our aid stations, which is classic. I mean, you don't have to be racing on the trail or on a road to know that. Right. That's a rule, and they just gave them a 20-minute time penalty rather than DQ. And they were still top 20, I believe. Yeah, but we've had scenarios where almost every race someone is cheating. Or, maybe not doing the course as they've been told. And the course and the markings is such a pain in the butt, because it's no matter how good you mark it, and good, I mean, not overmarked, not undermarked. Right. Just signing your intersections, getting people on the right loop and telling which loop they need to be on, someone will mess it up. And it's tough because you do it and you're to you it's obvious. Yeah, and I'll go in and I'll hear of an issue, and I'll either go check myself, send you, or send a So at person. Brazos, there were three spots where people struggled. Yeah. And 2 out of the 3 spots I felt were perfectly blatantly fine. In your face. One of them turn. Yeah. And people were going straight. Arrow, turn, flag, turn, do not enter. Even my grandmother and and people were older,
she was like, man, they have to be blind. They're probably taking too many selfies. She was, yeah. So
it's frustrating because you get these complaints and you take them to heart, and they're frustrating. And you want people to have like a really good experience, and you think you've done a good job, but then you go back and check, and you're like, well, you just simply didn't, one, read the email, watch the video, look at the map, know where you were at the time, or look at the very blatantly obvious things.
Right.
And the problem people do, I see, is like they'll pass those intersections, and then when you turn around, then it actually becomes confusing, because I don't mark for you to be coming from the other direction.
Correct.
I don't mark for you to be standing there spinning 10 times and then guess where you have to go.
Yeah.
If you run the course and you follow the flow,
right, there's no
fine.
Backwards compatibility here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where people get themselves in trouble. And also they don't read the emails. And people have very poor self-awareness and navigational skills.
Yeah.
And if you come over from not needing those skills, like I heard today, like on a road race, it was not well marked for Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And one of my athletes ran an extra mile.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, you just, one, know the course. I mean, even if it's 100 kilometers long, know the course. You have to know and what the markings look like and what loop you're supposed to be on. And, even people, Wildflower, a guy had it on his watch, loaded to his GPS, the course I made, and ignored the left flag arrow and the GPS telling him to go left because it was a white sign and not a colored one. And then when you got to that intersection, he turned and he saw another sign.
And I will say that, we do try to mark the course as if you don't know the course.
For sure, yeah,
you have to. And in Brazos, those 3 spots, I did feel one of them was confusing.
At an aid station where there was people stationed.
And the people should have corrected them,
Yeah, or been better prepared for athletes to be asking which way or not knowing which way to go.
Yeah.
But once you get a lot of people standing in the way, then
it gets confusing.
Yeah. And you have people going different ways. So
yeah,
always a learning opportunity. Every single event that we put on is an opportunity to learn and improve.
Yeah, and we do have a lot of people, and thank you to everyone who
new
does
trail
this.
runners and new...
Well, who say, oh, I missed that little loop, I'm gonna go run it twice this time.
Exactly, so people aren't cheating. It's kind of back to the original thing.
Right.
They're not cheating.
They're not blatantly cheating. We do have people that blatantly turn around.
And we catch them too.
Yeah. But there are a number of people.
And ambassadors of other notable race companies.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting to see how people try to cover that up.
So I want to say, people watch you and tell us.
Oh yeah.
Every race we have someone
I get
tell us.
reports.
Yeah.
And some of them are simply like, I checked their chip time and lap 1 was impossible. And that's us like catching people up on laps that we missed or something. But like we know, and we have other ways. I mean, trail cams and timers and volunteers and other people know. And then we can look at, Strava's open. Of course, the ones that we have trouble with are never on Strava.
Yeah.
Which is another red flag, unfortunately.
We did have someone say, oh, I didn't, my time is incorrect. And then I asked them for their GPS data, and they were essentially running with a Timex, right?
Oh,
Nothing.
Yeah. It's always the case.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
I digress.
Yeah.
So, final topic,
the most
marriage
requested.
matters. And I am surprised, especially when we were at the Wildflower pizza party or pizza night.
That was fun. Yeah.
It's kind of our time to chat with other runners and be in the community a bit more, because we don't do enough of it.
Well, during races, we're just like head down or
we don't have time to chat and catch up during races.
So that one's a special moment.
We had so many people tell us that they love our marriage discussions. And I don't know.
It's great for everybody. I'm so happy
people,
for them.
Yeah, good for them. I hate it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for putting me in this hot seat every podcast.
And that sentiment is great for this topic, which is about attachment theory and family of origin. So,
Okay, so we're going through, if you've missed it, go back and watch, but we did a course called Marriage Matters through the church we were going to. We could come up on...
oh my gosh, y'all. We've stopped going to this church. And
well, okay, one.
let's back
my
it up.
really good friend, pastor, has left and
He's
gone
left.
to Dallas
Yes.
and going to be preaching somewhere else. And he sends me the daily prayers and things, which is awesome. Keeps me in tune with that. But also my sister that was going there.
So Easter weekend was the final straw.
Yeah.
Because we had a family get together for Easter, and your sister who was going there did Vacation Bible School last year.
Yeah, and well, and things we had seen as well, or just
Yeah.
heard through the childcare program of like what they were teaching in their curriculum. Essentially, what came up like through discussions with the kids and stuff was like that they were told that dinosaurs don't exist.
Truly, so they had to,
Don't exist.
Don't exist.
Which is like,
And that was already a troublesome thing for me. And I think for about 2 weeks at work, I was asking everybody, do you believe in dinosaurs? And everyone was like, yes, what are you talking about?
yeah.
And there have been other things that have come up in big service that I've struggled with, or the way things are, the way the preaching is done or things like that. Maybe I just didn't resonate with me.
Right.
Not that the belief system was always wrong, but just things that didn't resonate with me. But the dinosaur thing was a struggle. So then fast forward one day to Easter, and dinosaurs come up again in Easter service.
But what I loved was there was a guy in front of me that had a full-on dinosaur pattern t-shirt.
And he left early. He walked out early. So.
I mean, and it's not like we're a single voting type of people. If it's like, well, that's it. Like, I can work with one thing, a couple things, and see other points of view and what it is.
But it's a culmination of other things that have come together. But dinosaurs were the final straw.
Turns out like we can see another church that looks like appealing to us that we can walk to, which is also like kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or golf cart too.
We're gonna try that out.
And we'll let you know how that goes. But during our time at this church, and we'll go back. I love the worship there, and I love all the people. We have a lot of friends there.
Yeah, we'll go back, and I think we will do this marriage course again through this church.
Yeah.
Because it's not just for this church; it's really open to anybody. So if you want to talk about it more, right? You don't have to be a church member or a churchgoer or religious.
You don't have to be religious. I would say it's great for anybody.
And there are flares of God in here, and you pray, and certain nights were more biblical than others, but not really.
So we've been doing the weeks, and I think this is week 3 we're looking at this time.
Yep.
And we had a doctor, counselor come in that works with couples that are both faith and not faith based, and works through their marriage relationship issues, and gave a presentation. So the format of the evenings were like a guest speaker typically, and then small breakout rooms, which were pre-designed based on your. He
didn't know they were pre-designed. Our breakout room was all blended families.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, this is a coincidence. And I actually filled out a form.
Yeah. How did we all come together?
But it's funny because our room was all blended families of, with life problems and, co-parenting problems and all these other things. And then there's premarital room, which is, I'm sure blissful. So we always joke of, man, if they had heard our room, they would not be getting married.
Yeah. But it's great. It's not for if you're having issues either.
No, absolutely not.
There were a lot of issues there, but it's great because it just gives you this experience, and it's like, you learn a lot of cheap lessons. So ones that you don't want to learn the hard way, right? Because you get to have perspective and people opening up and sharing about what's helped or been really bad for them.
And the perspective of other people was great for both of us.
Because we went in there we're in bad shape. We're newlyweds, and
we were all of the stuff with our house was happening, and
it was
we
high
were
stress environment.
So disconnected because of the high stress environment.
But also learning to navigate being blended family.
Right. And we go in and we have to share first in our small group. And I do my spiel, we're disconnected and this and that. And then the rest of the room goes.
I wish I had $1.
I know, I said that this weekend, that we're disconnected. and we left and we're like, we're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good. and there's always room for improvement. And I think another benefit of doing this multiple times is, there's people that have done it 12 times plus, is that you get something out of it every time. And you don't always have to be having issues to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's important to pour into your relationship all the time.
Yeah.
So.
All right, week three, great counselor came in.
Attachment theory.
And talked about family of origin. So it's amazing. And I went through psychology in university, and it's like, the classic like Freudian and stuff, like so much of your development just shapes and solidifies who you are for the rest of your life.
And so really the whole thing wasn't much about development. It goes through...
I'm just saying it's interesting that there's that kind of lineage is the same as like the way you were raised and the way you saw relationships in your own household. And the way you grew up is also like what you're going to do. And when we talked about this earlier, as an example, so that we didn't have to get too deep into like our own.
Skipping ahead to the very end.
Well, family of origin is super important.
Yeah, but the whole thing was about attachment theory, and then think about that based on your family, like your upbringing.
Of how that formed you.
Correct. So you skipped to the end, but that's okay. The idea is based on, I think
it's very similar. So it's basically like identifying your characteristics of like
in a relationship
of like who you are individually, and then and it's not so much like compatibility, because there's not like this type of characteristic is not incompatible with this one and you shouldn't get married, or this one's more compatible.
There's certain ones that are more of a struggle.
For sure. But there's ways to deal with it depending on who you are and who I am, and how those compatibilities and incompatibilities work.
So it opens up by kind of defining who we are individually.
Right.
And so based on kind of proximity. And so it's a matrix of your anxiety of abandonment to your, do you seek proximity with your partner, essentially.
Right.
And for me, I'm high anxiety of abandonment and high proximity seeking, and so I'm anxious.
Yes.
I'm the anxious. You are low proximity seeking, low fear of abandonment. You're the avoidant. And I'm sure some of you can see there how that is a struggle. We have to wrap it up. Anyway.
Almost to an hour, so yes.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so you identify who we are, and like I'm an avoidant, you are.
And so, but
highly
together,
anxious.
right? I'm the pursuer with our conflict, management, and you're the withdrawer.
Yeah, and I already want to be withdrawing, but like as you push and want and need more, it pushes me further away.
And for me, I just want to resolve it and move on. And he says, for me, I'm like, can we just talk about our sides and meet in the middle and move on? And you're like, this isn't a business meeting, Rachel. Can you get out of corporate? You've said that to me before. Can you get out of your corporate mindset? But yeah, I want to, let's talk about it. Let's resolve it right now. I can't rest until we talk about it and I know we're good, and you just need space.
But I also recognize, not that you don't, the emotion that's happening during the conflict, and don't want that to impact the conversation, or like the high anxiety and need to resolve with my maybe frustration and anger of the conflict, which is also my characteristic.
This was such a critical week for us because we were arguing a lot during this time when we were going through this, and we didn't know how to manage each other. So withdrawers, or the underlying emotions, withdrawers most often husbands, just naturally. And then pursuers most often wives. And that's not always the case.
Right,
but
it can be flipped
it is
or
in
whatever.
this case. And the underlying emotions that you resonated with were feeling overwhelmed, being criticized, but kind of from a perspective of, you know, you didn't do this, but you did these things and I'm not recognizing it.
Right. Yeah. And that starts to flow back into like love language of like how much effort and work I put into something, but it's not the one thing that you were needing
Right.
in the moment.
And then that goes into inadequacy, and then you kind of
Right.
just freeze up and withdraw.
Yeah. And it does, like, it's typically that's how men feel in most marriages is, you know, we go to, like, speaking very like traditional here, like man goes to work, does all this stuff, comes home and just wants to relax because they've been at work all day,
Right.
but they have not put in anything to the family bucket and
Correct.
the relationship bucket and the kids bucket and all that stuff. And it's like, but what do you mean? I worked so hard all day and made money to
For
provide
us, yeah.
for us. Like that was my sacrifice. And it's kind of like when you come in the door, it's like, okay, I'm done. But no, it's like everything's just begun.
Right.
And that can be a real struggle.
But I feel that too sometimes coming home from downtown.
This is a perfect example
Yeah.
of how it can be
Yeah.
I'm no longer in the corporate world, and you
Right.
are.
And I
You wear the pants.
mentally, I was going to say, I'm mentally stimulated all day long.
Right.
So there are times where I come home and I'm like, I don't want to talk. You know, I just want to sit here and have you hug me.
Right.
Yeah. So, but pursuers often feel alone, not important. You know, you are fiercely independent. And I'm very independent, but I also have that, you know, I am very independent, but I really value you in my life. And I know you do too. We just show that differently.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we're disconnected, trigger word. And then I feel, you know, kind of going back to that abandoned. And it's sometimes, and I know you will say this about me, it gets into like desperation to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I see is you like falling backwards out of an airplane with no parachute.
Yeah. And then that goes
And
into the anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I'm like grasping for straws.
Yeah.
And you really struggle
And then
with
I
that.
need space.
Yeah.
More and more and more.
Yeah. I mean, we had this talk last night or two
Yeah.
nights ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
So
I
that's
need you to
classic.
trickle into my cup all day long, you know? Yeah.
All these silly analogies.
I know, I
and I'm
say
just
stuff like that. And he rolls his eyes. So then it goes into, you know, attachment fears. So kind of with any attachment style, common fears, very common fears are abandonment, feeling rejected, not feeling valued or accepted, which I know is one, you're not feeling valued is one that you feel. Being unlovable, I don't really feel that, and being controlled, I don't feel that, but those are very common ones.
Yeah, in other relationships.
In other relationships, yeah. And then needs are acceptance, closeness, understanding, and that feeling of love.
Yeah.
So, and then kind of, you know, a way to, or to kind of following up with that of, are we connecting? Are we there for each other? Are you there for me? It's all in that R. So A, accessible, R, responsive, E, engaged. Are you there for me? Accessible, responsive, and engaged.
Yeah, I forgot that one. I glazed over. Say it again.
Oh my gosh. No. The answer is no. So are you there for me? R, accessible. Are you accessible, responsive, and engaged in our relationship?
No. R. Okay. All right.
R.
What's the rest of it? A-R-E.
Are you there for me? And being, how many times do I have to say this? The listeners already have gotten
Exactly.
it. Oh my God, he's poking at me now.
No, okay. It was
Okay.
the Alabama. R.
Are you there for me? Accessible, responsive,
Accessible, responsive.
or engaged and engaged.
There, see, I did active listening. I repeated what you're saying.
We had this conversation this weekend too.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, and then do you think one of us is better than the other?
I think we're both better at our own domains, like
I think
how we love and communicate.
I agree with that. As far as accessibility, responsiveness and engaged. I mean, I think we both have our pros and cons, or strengths and weaknesses, just within.
I think our biggest thing of like in this week, you keep bringing up like this week, what we struggled on and what we typically struggle on. There was like a buzz phrase, maybe it was from the last weekend though, because I reviewed that one instead. But it's the frequency. And like you were talking about, like
face-to-face communication daily.
Drip in my cup of love. Like I need a constant drip.
Well, not constant, but a daily connect.
Daily. I would say like minute seconds.
That's not true.
So the frequency that you need it is a lot more than the frequency that
I think the thing is that if we're disconnected, I'm just searching constantly.
Right.
If we're connected, but then
you start asking.
I do start asking.
Yeah. And then that's like,
I'm like, can you spend some time with me? Can you do this? Can you say something nice to me?
And then it becomes like
and then you withdraw.
Right.
Yeah, but you're not even doing daily, right? That's the point.
Well, I am doing daily in my own things.
Right, but
my ways.
All right, so this is going into love languages.
Exactly.
Of you have to also give in the way that the other person receives.
Right.
And you're horrible at that. So, anyway,
working on it.
We're not perfect, clearly.
Exactly. No, but it's good to review it. And okay, what were some of the? Because we got to wrap it
so
up.
some of the some
recommendations or like things that you can do.
Was the "Are you there for me"? That was the be accessible, responsiveness. That's where I was trying to go with this, and you just couldn't get it. So
I still don't, clearly.
And then going back to the family thing is based on your attachment style and how you communicate in your relationship.
It's the ginger, I swear.
He's falling apart. Think about how your family may have modeled that for you, or, were emotions talked about in your family or weren't they?
Right.
And, with respect to our families, we won't go into that, but we see differences in how we were brought up. And a very classic, more recent example is Easter, where...
Well, and this isn't so much like...
about attachment,
dynamics
it's just
or anything.
about tradition,
a tradition,
right? Just a general difference of upbringing. And, it comes in a lot of different flavors of...
Okay, we'll throw a poll out there because I want to know, how did you grow up, or how do you practice the Easter of
bunny.
Like
the Easter bunny?
Okay, so if you're on my side, the Easter bunny in the night goes and hides eggs, and we found an egg this week, and it's like almost June. One of the workers uncovered an egg.
I hid those pretty good. Yeah.
So does the Easter bunny for you go and hide eggs everywhere, and you take an empty basket in the morning as a kid and go and hunt for eggs and fill your basket? Or
for me, we never did eggs. Eggs were like, you go to church and there's an Easter egg hunt. For me, you have the Easter bunny fills the Easter basket and hides it in the house, and you have to go find the full Easter basket.
That's so ridiculous to me.
So it's so important for me to carry that tradition, and it's important for you to carry that tradition. The problem has been that your girls are old enough to where they've always done eggs, and now this idea of adding in baskets is absolutely ridiculous to them, and they think it's fake.
And now we have to do both.
And so we do both now,
so
which is fine.
It's a win-win for everybody.
And they get more candy, but it definitely is tense, not tense with the kids, but the kids are questioning now because we've come together with kids that already have some, so it's interesting.
Yeah, but that's just an example of upbringings being different, and then how it can create some conflict too.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, this week was also focused on what are the strengths and weaknesses in your marriage, and so our weaknesses were our communication, but not as much. We're good at communication. We're a lot better at communication, but I would say more within the realm of conflict resolution.
Which was the next one.
And showing affection.
Right.
The way the other person feels affection.
The way the other person wants.
And conflict resolution, the way that we resolve conflict now versus the way we did, we went 2-3 days one time really not speaking.
And usually it was coming out of these Marriage Matters sessions in the evenings, like on the way home or by the time we got in the door was like our biggest blow-ups.
It was bringing it up. Yeah.
But also what I found, and it's like, even for this podcast, is like, as soon as we engage, like we're talking about relationship, communication, love, da 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 da, that battery on that
Your
segment
battery,
is just draining. And to me, I'm like draining the battery, but filling the cup, right? And it's like, okay, energy's going from me into this relationship, box has been checked, but like, and that's our date night, and
But
that's
for
our
me,
communication
no, because
practice.
it wasn't personal.
Right. And so we're getting home from that thing, and I'm like, oh, thank God we're done for the week. And then you're like, can we connect now? And I'm like, what have we been doing the past
But we'd been
3
listening to
hours?
a speaker or listening to the group and not,
Yeah. So then it was like,
yeah.
like, can we work on us now? And I'm like, what do you mean? We've been working on us for like 3 hours. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But even outside of this, you know, even after this and before this, we would have multi-day fights sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, when we fight, I can't remember the last time it spanned overnight.
No. Yeah.
You know, we're resolving it pretty quickly.
And one way you've met me in my style is like the evening, like in bed,
Yeah, we try
starting something up.
Yeah. But that was mostly just because of this, right?
Yeah. Right, because it was so late already.
Yeah, because it was so late
But that's like, for me, like real, and probably for most people, but like really bad timing.
We don't like that bad timing. But if something comes up during the day, even,
Yeah.
I mean, by the time we go to bed, it's been resolved.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it wasn't like this hard rule of like never go to bed angry with each other. It's like, this is not
Actually,
possible.
we kind of decided that was bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Like, I'm going to sleep. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm fine. I can go to sleep. Now you.
I cannot.
Yeah.
That's
But
where the
you don't sleep.
anxiousness comes in.
Right.
Yeah, I also don't sleep. So, anyway.
All right.
All right.
Good place to end there.
So we'll end there. We will be back
out.
with more interesting content next week.
Before we go to
Commitment.
Utah.
Before we go to Utah.
Because I'm leaving early, because I'm going to try to go get some training in for a hike and fly race that I'll be doing in September. So that's an event, like an adventure race style, where you have all your flying gear, but you also cover ground on foot. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm going to go to that area, or at least south of Salt Lake City, to get some flying in, because I need to be training for that. And I'm covering my own training more on my own like weekly training review, which I put, hey, I'm on TikTok now. I had to get TikTok training at my ultra running camp, which we didn't cover, so we can go through ultra more. And yeah.
All right.
More to come.
More to come.
All
We're
right.
back.
We are back. And cut right there.